Welcome to today's episode of The Baggie Boys. Enjoy. Hi, welcome to a new football manager series called The Baggie Boys, where I take West Brom and try and lead them to glory. Quick side note, unfortunately when I first recorded this, I didn't get the audio, which is unfortunate. So this is going to be a bit of an intro to the series rather than some live commentary. Episode 2 has already been filmed and commentated over, and that one's fine. This one, however, is just a bit of an intro, so I'm going to kind of let you know where I got up to. We've just done a bit of pre-season, made a couple of signings, so I'm going to take you through that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. And hopefully this is going to be a great series that we can all kind of travel on together. But yeah, for now, let's kind of get into this intro. I'll take you to where we are with the club. And yeah, enjoy. Right, so here's the squad you start off with West Brom. As you can see, not really that great. For those who aren't familiar with West Brom, they're a decent side in the Premier League. They're quite inconsistent is their issue. They really should be doing a lot better than they are. But yeah, so I'm going to try and change that. So here, this star rating kind of gives you a bit of a better idea of who within the team are considered the stronger players. Ben Foster, the goalkeeper, is clearly one of the best players at the club. It's fair to say he's probably too good to be at this club the way it is at the moment. However, I'm quite grateful to have him. It saves me having to shell out on a goalkeeper, which is great because West Brom have got a transfer budget of 2 million, which doesn't really get you much. Saido Berahino is probably the most promising player at the club. And one of the most exciting young players in English football, at least he was last season, towards the start. He's only young, obviously they're in his early 20s, so he's got a bit of time ahead of him to keep on developing. Other good players in the club who we'll go over and you'll see a lot of in this series. Chris Brunt, Claudio Jacob, Yusuf Malumbu. Those three in midfield are incredibly potent. Yusuf Malumbu and Claudio Jacob are two very, very good holding midfielders, defensive-minded midfielders, and pretty decent with the ball as well. And their transfer kind of fee that they command could completely transform West Brom in terms of the transfer market. However, there's much more benefit to actually keeping them at the club. Both of them have got really great mental stats. Those are the stats in that middle column. And as anyone who plays Football Manager will know, that those stats kind of come in handy, especially when you're going through hard times. It's those stats and those sort of players with those mental attributes that will actually pull you out of the hard situations. So I'm going to try my best to keep these guys at the club, because it would cost a lot more to replace players of that value, and I don't think players like this would probably come to West Brom as they are. Maybe next season, but as it stands, I really want to keep them for this year. The hardest one to keep hold of will be Jacob. A lot of people tend to go in for Jacob as soon as the game starts, and you'll probably see a bit of that. But as it stands, I really don't want to let them go. Hopefully I can achieve things with them. Chris Brunt is one of the better creative players at the club. And again, someone that I definitely want to keep a hold of, because to find somebody else like him for the transfer money that I would get, and also convincing them to come to West Bromwich Albion, is going to be a much harder task than actually keeping him. We've got some other interesting players. James Morrison's you're pretty much your standard winger, relatively quick, decent dribbler, decent crossing. Not really much else to his game. Again, decent mental stats, but that's about it. Brownie Day is probably going to be my second choice striker throughout this season. Again, some decent stats. He's a bit more established than Berahino, but he's pretty much, you're not going to really improve him much from where he is. whereas Berahino's got a bit more potential for you to mould into the player you want. Another striking option, Victor Anichebe. You'll see Samaras there. I'm not going to use him. I think he's absolute garbage. The issue with this club is that the defence is quite old. Julian Lescott's quite good. Got him in obviously from City. Again, very solid mental stats. And you know the stats that you need as a centre half he's got other than pace. Jonas Olsen, again old, quite slow. So I don't really want to play them both in the same defensive partnership. Craig Dawson's nice and young. He'll come into play at some point during the season. Again, he's got quite a bit of potential. And we've also got Andre Wisdom on loan, so we'll be using him a fair bit. He's quite decent, actually. So it's nice to have him around. Not as good a defender as some of my other ones, but it does add that pacey element to the team. So it would be nice to kind of balance him off against someone like Lescott. And you know whoever else I managed to bring in, but yeah, there's a team that we can work with here. There's nothing really stands out in terms of quality, but you know there's a team here that you can work with, and that's kind of what we're going for here. Right, so here you'll see two new signings. Pablo Aimar and Chris Eagles, both kind of players of yesterday or yesteryear in different ways, actually. Pablo Aimar is someone who's kind of been there, done it all. Really good player during his time. Kind of one of the world's great playmakers while he was doing it. Very good pass of the ball, very good eye for the pass. Very kind of Ozil-esque in that sort of skill set, in that he was someone who would pick the defence open or spot the pass that others couldn't. Very, very good playmaker. Chris Eagles, however, different story. He was a Man United graduate, played out wide on the left and the right, and it was kind of the victim of Beckham comparisons by some. But essentially, Beckham comparisons or not, he didn't quite work out for him, and ever since he's been at different clubs, and now he's here at West Brom with me and Pablo Aimar for kind of a last shot at glory. He's not going to be a star here, but he's going to be a great squad player. I've got them both in on a free. I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, it'll be good to see how they slot into this team and what role they play. Right, so obviously we played a few pre-season friendlies, but the first kind of friendly of note was a friendly against Bologna, where nothing really happened until like the 80th minute when I decided to bring on Brownie Day instead of Berahino. And after a decent bit of knocking on the door and some link-up play, we eventually got our reward, and he put us 1-0 up in the 81st minute. Yeah, it was a frustrating game, to be honest. The formation just didn't seem to be working right. I was playing quite a defensive formation, and then I kind of switched it up for this. And yeah, it was a lesson in the kind of tactics that I could employ with this team, and it showed me that I could play more attacking formations that I'm used to. And it wasn't long before he put in the second goal to wrap the game up. 2-0, very late in the game. It wasn't really one for the neutrals, shall we say, but it taught me a lot about this team, their limitations and also their strengths. Right, so as we can see here, I've kind of gone back to what is my more favoured and preferred tactic. I was playing 4-2-1-2-1, I think, and it wasn't great. I was trying to play with Jakob and Malumbu deep and someone just in front of them, but it wasn't working. It was too defensive, and this team does have attacking qualities. Yeah, so obviously this 4-1-2-2-1 is or 4-3-3. depending on how you look at it. And I'd say it is a 4-3-3, to be honest. Those midfielders do kind of work as a unit. It's a very well balanced formation in my mind. I've got obviously that back four with Malumbu sitting there, who's pretty much going to be that guy for that role all season. And then you've kind of got a ball winner and a creative player playing as a roaming playmaker, trying to find holes and, you know, just spray passes to the wide men who whipping crosses to a poacher and an advance forward, that sort of thing. I do have my fullbacks kind of not so much overlapping, but picking up on failed crosses and then whipping in a second one. It's something that works quite well for me and hopefully will work well with this team. But yeah, this is the formation I like. Aymar played a bit out of position, so it looks like he's not great. But he's very, very good. And you'll see that as the season progresses, hopefully. But yeah, so that's kind of my formation. And yeah, let me know what you think about that and what formation you would play. Right, so that's kind of the end of this kind of intro. Thanks for being patient. Obviously, this video didn't quite go as planned, but you've kind of got a feel for, hopefully, for the way I kind of do things, and it kind of sets the tone for this story as it's going to unfold. But yeah, thanks for watching. Drop some comments, drop a like, and subscribe. It's a new channel. But yeah, thank you for watching, and take care.